Niki and Gabi, twin OG YouTuber influencer girlies, there for the high saturation days, the skit and challenge days. These girls have so much lore on YouTube, I don't even know how long this video is going to be. I first started getting Niki and Gabi requests when I posted the Asian Girl Squad video in February of this year, which makes sense because Niki and Gabi were part of that lifestyle it girl category on YouTube, also known as the women in their 20s that were still making highly produced back to school videos. I'll be honest with you guys, at the time I was not really watching Niki and Gabi like that, but in preparation for this video I watched so much of their content, old and new. I caught up with the tea and there's quite a lot, so we're here to discuss. In this video we're going to be covering Niki and Gabi's start on YouTube, what they were known for in their content, the music, reality TV shows, controversies and criticisms, relationships, and where they are now. But first off, if you're not new here, you might have noticed that my hair has recently changed colors. Similar to Niki, I have enjoyed changing my hair to vibrant colors from time to time, and I've been wanting to dye my hair black, like darker than my natural dark brown hair color, but I wasn't really sure if it was gonna look good. Luckily, I was able to use Face app to change the color of my hair in a photo so that I'd have a better idea of what I'd look like before I fully committed. I mean, obviously my hair is already black now, but just to show you guys what I did, I opened up the app and I chose a picture of myself and then I selected hair colors. And then from here, you can select what hair color you want to try on yourself. So obviously I chose black because that was what I was interested in. And then you can change up the intensity to see just like how dark you want to go. I mean, look at that before and then that after. It really brought the vision to life. I feel like my face looks so much brighter with dark hair. After seeing this, I was pretty much sold. And if you know anything about dyeing your hair, you know that once you dye it dark, you can't go back. So I really needed this affirmation. I also love trying out different hairstyles with this app. I selected this picture of myself after I already dyed my hair black, and then I navigated over to hairstyles and I chose the bangs. I used to have bangs, but then I grew them out because they were really high maintenance. But after seeing this, like, come on, those look exactly like how my bangs used to look like. And they have other options too. Oh my gosh. Like, you cannot tell me that those aren't my bangs. It just looks so legit. Like, it's seriously tempting me. Do I need to get bangs? You can also do more subtle edits in the impressions tab. Like in this one, I'm selecting kiss and it just makes you look cuter, but it's still you. Like with the before and after, it just makes my face a little bit brighter and fixes the lighting a little. You can make it more intense with the other levels, but I feel like level 1 is more natural and cute. Like, it's still me, but just a little more flattering. So if you want to try out some different looks or just enhance your already cute pictures, I recommend trying Face app to play around. It's free to download, easy to use, and has a ton of features, especially with their pro version. Click the link in my description or scan the QR code to download Face app and try the pro version for 1 week free. Available at App Store and Google Play. Thank you to Face app for sponsoring this portion of the video. And with all that said, let's get into it. So if you're completely new here, Niki and Gabi are twins. They actually started on YouTube in 2010 with a comedy skits music channel called 00 Remake Girls that they had started with their older sister named Alex. It's still up and has videos from over 10 years ago. They then went on to make another channel in 2012 called Niki and Gabi Beauty that was just the two of them focused on beauty, fashion, and lifestyle content. And this is the channel that really pops off that we're going to be discussing in this video. For a little more insight on their origin story, they did have a Draw My Life video from 2013. Niki talks about how she and Gabi were bullied in middle school, they switched schools, and then eventually later on got bullied again towards the end of high school, which then led them to really focus on their YouTube channel since they felt pretty excluded at school. It was just something that they could channel all of their energy into. Niki and Gabi have also shared how Demi Lovato contributed to Niki's dedication to the channel. In 2013, Niki, Gabi, and their sister Alex auditioned for the X Factor. They do a full story time on their channel years after, but basically production for the show set them up to embarrass themselves. They clipped together the worst parts that they could use for some promo for the show, and they actually did receive 2 yeses even though the clips of the audition that were used were so bad. Niki was super nervous to sing in front of Demi Lovato and said that she was actually pretty cold in person. Even though Niki says that she gets that Demi was just doing her job, at the time she hated her for like a year. They said that on the ride home from the audition, Niki stopped stopped crying and said to Gabi that they need to do YouTube and they need to kill it and put all of their effort into the channel and make something happen for themselves. It's giving straight up villain origin story, even though she's not a villain. And Gabi said that's the moment that she really got Niki on board, since at that point Gabi was already really invested in the channel and was originally the one posting more on it. They said that that summer they started with 30,000 subscribers and ended it with 100,000 subscribers. So Demi really lit something inside of Niki to lock in. So like I mentioned before, Niki and Gabi were part of the era of YouTube influencers, dialing up the saturation on their videos, doing DIYs, hauls, skits, routine videos, etc. Essentially the women in their 20s making content as if they were still in high school, which I'll say at the time I was actually in high school and I would watch those types of videos and truly not bat an eye that these YouTubers were not actually going back to school with me. I don't know why that never clicked as something kind of weird, but it's just something funny now to realize, and they all acknowledge it now that they're older. They were a part of the Girls Night In tour of 2016, which if you don't know about the Girls Night In tour, basically it was this company that put together the most popular lifestyle YouTubers, plus randomly Allison Stoner that year, on a bus and then brought them around to tour for a mainly teenage girl audience. The show has been described as a large slumber party x talent show vibe. Each YouTuber would have a talent segment of the show. Niki and Gabi would sing as their talent, and they would also do lip sync battles where they'd bring people up from the audience to be on their team, and then they'd have this whole like Team Niki versus Team Gabi dynamic, which is a dynamic that will continue to come up. So Niki and Gabi are known as the opposite twins. They marketed themselves as having different hobbies and different personalities, which to this day is still true, but they've also admitted to playing it up a bit for the sake of content. Niki was seen as more of the pop punk alternative twin, where she was dyeing her hair fun colors. She often implied in older videos that she wasn't like basic girls, which fans later called the classic not like other girls trope, whereas Gabi was this hyper feminine princess image, fancy girl, pastels, more low-key energy. Naturally, you would gravitate to identifying with one or the other, and they definitely leaned into their fan base being split in a way that could easily get toxic. They had a whole series on their channel where opposite twins swap X thing, whether it be lives for a day, clothes for a week, boyfriends for the night. Yes, they literally would swap their boyfriends. They did so multiple times in different formats, definitely milking that content idea. They would also do style swaps where they would give each other makeovers to match the other person. And with the whole Team Niki and Team Gabi of it all, they really leaned into this by doing sister versus sister videos where they would compete with one another in different challenges and then have the audience decide who won. Not everything was this sister versus this sister though. They did do challenge videos together when challenges were really trendy on YouTube. They also had some very popular videos where they dress up and act like celebrities and then go through the drive-thru. Their first drive-thru video got over 48 million views, and they did it with their sister Alex, who has a really funny Lady Gaga impression. Besides beauty and lifestyle content on YouTube, they also had interests in music. So like I mentioned earlier, they auditioned for X Factor with singing, and then even on the Girls Night In tour, they sang as their talent segment. When I was reading about them online, apparently they released their first single called We're Not Over in 2014, but I couldn't find it online anymore. At the time, they would occasionally post covers on their main YouTube channel for popular songs like Work From Home, which they paired with a music video for, which just makes me laugh, honestly, because they had their other YouTube lifestyle girlies come be in it, and I'm sorry, but just seeing all of them together embodying the style of that era and their arms up just swaying back and forth, how can you not just like laugh a little bit? It's just so nostalgic and silly. And that's not the last time that they have the girlies join them in for a music video. They also did that for their song First that came out in 2017, which they marked as their first official debut single, and you can still find that one online. They went on to release more music together after that, but I'm not gonna go over every single release. They did have an EP called Individual that came out in 2018 that also featured some music from each girl individually, which like maybe that's where the name came from. They came out with a song called Hair Tie in 2019. So they were kid-friendly in 2016 on that girls tour, but 3 years later in 2019, this song is definitely not kid-friendly. They both went on to continue releasing music solo in the years after. Gabi released an EP called Ga Broadway, where she covered some popular Broadway songs. Niki released 2 EPs called Nights Alone and Ruined My Life. Gabi released an album called Paintings of Me in 2022 and some other singles since. Niki has recently released released songs called Vegas, Time Machine, and 28 and Dying. And even though both of them produce music, it seems like Niki is the one more passionate or more serious about it. She's spoken in interviews about wanting to be taken more seriously as a musician rather than just as a YouTuber or influencer. The vibe I get from Gabi is that it seems more like a side thing for fun, just one of the multiple things that she does. They did have their own YouTube channels in addition to the main Niki and Gabi channel, which gave them some space to create their own personal brands while still collaborating on the joint channel and sticking to what was working on there. Niki's channel leaned into being more relatable, sharing her mental health struggles, story times, and casual vlogs. She also uploaded more music there with covers, original songs, and behind the scenes for videos or on tour. Gabi's channel was branded more towards her glamorous type of aesthetic, high-end, and super girly. On her own, she also came up with a perfume called Beautiful Mess. She also posted some personal creative projects like Blood Queens, which was like a parody to Scream Queens. She would post it around Halloween time, and it was this like satirical horror and teen drama series. Honestly, it wasn't taken super seriously. Some people said it was pretty cringe and had really bad acting. Other people said that that was the point. Not my personal cup of tea, but I might just not see the vision. Now we gotta get into the reality TV shows. Again, I'm telling you guys, I was not following Niki and Gabi before having to do research for this video, so I was unaware of the existence of these shows. Also, coincidentally, I just watched the first season of Jersey Shore like 2 months ago, and I really think that that's the energy that they were trying to give with these reality shows, and it was giving. I mean, it's not as unhinged as Jersey Shore season 1 because you really can't get as unhinged as Jersey Shore season 1, but you can definitely see that that was their blueprint. So Niki and Gabi had 5 seasons of a reality TV show on Awesomeness TV, which like, hey, shout out again to Awesomeness TV. I've mentioned them so many times in these recap videos. Their show went on from 2017 to 2020, which I feel like was recent, but it's actually not that recent because that was 5 years ago. They had seasons called Spring Break, Summer Break, Take New York, Take Miami, and Take Bahamas. The cast was them, their boyfriends, and some of their friends. Or sometimes it would be friends of friends, but the show was really just built off of them. Niki has admitted since then that the Bahamas cast was picked to really stir the pot and create drama. Add to that, they had a no phone rule for the season. Production really leaned on a Team Niki versus Team Gabi cast to heighten all of the tension. Like, everyone out here was just monetizing over Niki and Gabi's rocky relationship as not only sisters but twins, which like, yeah, I do feel bad, but they were also monetizing it themselves, so it kind of makes sense for production on the show to do the same. Everyone in the show is just kind of messy. They have fights over meaningless stuff, people throw tantrums, people get drunk, just everything. They'd also have some big fights on the show between Niki and Gabi, which is a whole other topic that we'll get into later in this video. There's just so many instances where Niki and Gabi were beefing in their content that you could see, and then behind the scenes that we weren't seeing that they would later expose and be like, yeah, we were having a fight then. They also had a reality series on Snapchat called Twinning Out that came out in 2021, but was filmed like 8 months prior in 2020. They actually took a pause on posting on their channel from around fall 2020 until spring 2021. 2020 is a pretty big year in terms of controversies and criticisms against Niki and Gabi that we're gonna get into later in this video as well. For now, we're just discussing the reality TV shows, but basically their series here on Snapchat was like 3 to 5 minute long episodes. It wasn't as trash drama heavy as their Awesomeness TV reality show. It was more personality driven, but there definitely were still fights and tensions between the two of them that were highlighted. It followed them navigating career decisions and relationships, and it showed Gabi going through a miscarriage. I wasn't sure if I was gonna mention this since it's just online speculation and hate, but I figured while I was editing this video that I should probably just mention it because if I don't, someone will say it in the comments anyway. When Gabi went public sharing her story about her miscarriage, she got a ton of hate for it and people accused her of lying about it. People were making videos explaining why they knew she was lying or how she was drinking while she was supposedly pregnant and all of this stuff. She even left this comment on a video about it. So then she ended up deleting her video talking about the miscarriage because of all this backlash. There's no proof that she actually lied about it. It was just all online speculation. After that, they had 2 seasons of a reality show on their own YouTube channel where they did a legit Jersey Shore season and a Halloween season. So I do think that Jersey Shore connection was just confirmed there. And while some fights might have been staged because that's what all reality TV does, the emotions behind the fights were definitely real. Which brings us to our first Niki and Gabi point of contention, and that is Niki and Gabi actually not getting along with each other. It is no secret that Niki and Gabi have had their ups and downs during their time working together on their channel, and people have accused them of continuing it only for money, which they have kind of confirmed is sort of true, but it's a little more complicated than that. In 2019, Niki posted a video on her personal channel called I'm Living in Someone Else's Shadow. That's someone else obviously being Gabi. She talks about how in the last few years she was really comparing herself to Gabi. It's been hard for her to stand on her own, that Gabi was always the more dominant twin and she feels like she's relied on her too much. When she moved to LA on her own, she had a hard time being without her. In the video, she says that she's not blaming Gabi at all, but maybe it'll help people to see that she was feeling this way. Some context is at the time, it does really make sense that Niki would start feeling this way since a lot of the audience the years prior were tending to like Gabi more. They also had a video come out in June 2020 called The Real Reason We Don't Get Along, where they had Gabi Hannah mediate a conversation between them. It was pretty dramatic. I mean, the fact that the conversation was being filmed already shows that it's kind of not that serious, but I do think that they shared some of their truths and gave some more context to why their relationship has been so rocky, which, to spare you the time, basically behind the scenes, Gabi was the twin that didn't try too hard, whereas Niki was the one maybe trying too hard. Niki worked really hard on their shared channel. She was the one coming up with ideas, editing everything for years, and she was a lot more business focused. She had moved to LA to pursue her own dreams and had a hard time flying back and forth to keep working with Gabi and keep the channel alive, and Gabi wouldn't leave Pennsylvania. But in the public, Gabi was the more popular twin, and then her fans would leave hate comments on Niki's videos. I think we can all see how that would kind of suck. I mean, feeling like you're putting in all this effort and making all these sacrifices, meanwhile your partner is the one getting all the praise, and not only that, you're getting unnecessary hate. They also talked about a point where Gabi would go to parties and she befriended Niki's enemies and literally moved in with them. She would just cancel filming days for any personal reason, like to be with her partner, be with her friends, get surgery, and just was pulling away. Which, let me say, that is when I had to pause the video, because how is your sister moving in with people who hate you? That is diabolical work. Not trying to reopen an old wound, but like, she's gotta admit by now that she was wrong for that. They reflected how in the summer of 2016 they were making their best content, but they were getting into fights all the time, and that was when they were really starting to grow apart. During the Girls Night In tour of 2016, they had a really big fight because Gabi was considering leaving in the middle of the tour, and Niki was told that she couldn't continue doing it without her. Niki said she felt like her dreams were constantly getting played with, and Gabi was always just putting herself first, which Niki says she actually admires about Gabi, but feels like she can't do that because if she did, then they just wouldn't have a channel. And basically now at the point of this video, Gabi's feeling like Niki's holding all these things against her and is being really hard to work with now because of it. Even at the end of the video, it's not like they fully resolved their problems or anything. I feel like it was more of just a way for Niki to just vent for why she was so annoyed with Gabi, which, like, from what we heard in the video, yeah, it makes sense. Then they say, hey, don't pit them against each other, which, like, yeah, I can get behind that message, but they still continue making this same kind of content that does pit them against each other. So I am a little bit confused. It was kind of giving cycle of seeing visible tension between them. They'll address it publicly with this kind of like, we worked it out messaging, but then it would kind of just come back and it's like, did you guys really work things out? Like, what's going on here? But in terms of, are they just doing it for money? I do think it's more complicated than just that. They've actually since talked about the fact that they weren't making as much money as people might have thought because they had to pay for everyone on their team and they had a very high production quality bar. I wouldn't necessarily say, hey, they were just forcing it for money. I think there were other factors like ego and status with their identity tied to the success of the channel, and part of them may have also felt like it was a waste to leave behind something that they had already invested so much time in building up. I believe their rocky relationship with each other was a genuine challenge that they were trying to overcome. It was interesting for me to watch things back and see the narrative that Gabi was generally the more popular twin, because when I was processing and learning all of this information at once, Gabi seems to be the one in more heat for things. There was a lot of conversation online about her face transformation, so much that they even did a video on their channel called The Truth About Gabi's Face Transformation, where they address how people say she's trying to be Ariana Grande, all the work that she's had done and why, and just her attitude with the whole thing. Basically, all the things that Gabi's changed about her face, she says were insecurities of hers for a long time. It's not about trying to become Ariana Grande. She says that they just look similar and thus she's gonna take style inspiration from what looks good on her. And I will say that people who make it their entire personality to imitate other celebrities is definitely a thing and is definitely disturbing and weird. Do I think that Gabi is one of those people? No. I wouldn't wouldn't say it's that extreme. I mean, it's definitely not that extreme now, but I don't even think it was that extreme back then either. And in general, I think people are free to do whatever they want to their faces and bodies as long as they are safe. It's not for me to say. I also think as long as they're being honest with it. It is a bit of a slippery slope though, because the video was her being honest, but you could also argue that with a younger audience, it could be detrimental to say that, oh, getting this work done is going to solve all of your insecurities. And they do clarify in the video that, hey, this isn't saying that it's going to work for everyone. It just worked for her. But I feel like that's still promoting that it's going to work for other people. Like that's giving them hope that it's going to solve their problems. I don't know. It's just so messy. And this was years ago. I mean, with the 2025 context, knowing that people are overdoing it with fillers because a ton of people are getting their filler dissolved, and we're seeing examples of pillow faces and whatnot, I definitely think there is a line to draw and a conversation to be had today. But I don't think that that was the conversation necessarily being had with the backlash against Gabi in 2018. She did have a little beef with Ariana Grande when Ariana tweeted, "This ain't it," about a video where Gabi was imitating her laugh, but then it was squashed when Ariana apologized and put her in the Thank You Next music video. I watched that music video when it came out. I love Ariana Grande. I did not know who Gabi was when I saw the music video, but now everything makes sense. Niki also ends up getting her own cosmetic procedures done, and they have a podcast episode from 2023 where they talk about all the work they've had done. They have continued to get some backlash here and there about overdoing it, but truly I am not here to dissect their specific appearances, so we're moving on. Something that I found out in Smokey Glow's video on Niki and Gabi was that Gabi used to do a lot of undisclosed sponsorships in her videos, which, quick shout out to Smokey Glow in general, her deep dives are so good. But yeah, this prompted me to go look through Gabi's older vlogs, and she'd just be talking about some random app like a cooking game, and it's so clearly a sponsorship, and there's nothing wrong with doing a sponsorship. Like, girl, get your bag. But she would not disclose it at all. And like, girl, I know you are not showing us that cooking game for fun. For this next controversy, I do want to give a quick trigger warning regarding EDs. I'll put a timestamp for where you can skip ahead to if you'd like to. So Niki had a music video for a song called Anthem for the Judge that came out around November 2018. The video featured several other YouTubers, including Eugenia Cooney, which, if you are not familiar, has been long criticized for her appearance and presence online, saying that she's the inspiration to people struggling with EDs. And since Niki included her in the video, viewers accused her for enabling or normalizing unhealthy eating. Around 8 months after the video came out, Niki addressed the criticism, saying that she brought Eugenia into the video because she wanted to include people that she knew were experiencing judgment online, and she didn't realize how it was going to be perceived. She says that she was happy that Shane Dawson had done a video with Eugenia and kind of cleared her name. I will say that I haven't watched the Shane Dawson video, and I don't watch Eugenia's content. The only context I have is what people say about her online, but I'm pretty sure, guessing from the documentary style, that it was probably highlighting that she's just a normal person and like humanized her. Niki also spoke about cancel culture and how it essentially doesn't help anyone. She gives some context that she also struggled with an ED in the past and has shared her experience with it on her channel. She sees how people were criticizing her for enabling Eugenia's ED by saying that people were just judging her, but she also says that she shouldn't have to think about that angle when she's just involving people that she's connected to and wants to be friends with. Honestly, my thought on that is you kind of do have to think of that, not just from thinking of what the takeaway will be from the audience, but also from your stance as a friend to someone. I don't really agree with the take that you just need to bring positivity and happiness to your friend in order to help them. It kind of feels like you're just lying to them and avoiding the problem. I definitely see her take where cancel culture isn't super helpful and you gotta humanize and remember the people you're talking about are real people, and the hate that Eugenia would get isn't a way to get her to actual change and have her get help. But that also doesn't mean we gotta put her in this music video with this message. Like, I get what you're saying, but you still kind of didn't need to do all that. In September 2019, Niki and Gabi put a video on their channel titled Going to College Dressed as Celebrities Challenge. In the video, they had their friend Dennis play Normani, who is a singer in Fifth Harmony. People called them out for furthering stereotypes about Black women since Dennis is a biological male. Gabi initially responded to the backlash saying that it wasn't that deep, which I feel like is never something received well by people telling you that it is that deep. I also noticed that during these years, it's kind of a patterned response to the backlash that Gabi and Niki would get. They'd often get defensive and respond in ways that kind of ignore or block out the haters and claim that things aren't that deep or that serious, which, like, I totally understand getting defensive. But after more backlash, the video was taken down down, and Niki tweeted this to apologize, saying that they were ignorant, it didn't cross their minds, and then the accusations angered them and thus made them super defensive. She continued on saying that her job wakes her up to things that she doesn't know about and she feels ignorant and she's sorry. Dennis also addressed it, apologizing to any and all Black women that he may have offended, although he didn't mean it that way. He also mentions that it did hurt to see people jump to conclusions about his gender or assign one that they saw fit as an androgynous individual. So now we're moving into the COVID era of 2020. This year was not good. I mean, it kind of snowballed into an eventual channel pause, which tells you a lot. In March 2020, Niki posted a TikTok that showed her at a nail salon with someone clearly Asian doing her nails. In the video, everyone's wearing a mask, and she played the song It's Corona Time over the video. The TikTok was criticized as being racist and insensitive, since it felt like from viewers that she was implying that she could get COVID from the manicurist since the manicurist was Asian. At first, when she was getting backlash, she thought that it was just because she was out when she should have been staying at home. She didn't understand the racial implications of it and was actually getting pretty defensive, but then she eventually gets the message and she deletes the video and then posts a video apologizing. In her video, she explains that she was doing a trend that was on TikTok where people would film themselves doing everyday things but with a mask on, and then that audio is Corona time. She didn't see the problem originally. She was informed about the xenophobia. She would have done that video regardless of who was doing her nails. She sees everyone equally. She shows that she was taking content throughout the service to prove that she was just genuinely getting content. She wasn't filming to specifically say, hey, this girl's gonna give me COVID. And she's making the video to take accountability, don't feel bad for her, and she's sorry to anyone she's offended. As an Asian person, I don't think the video came with bad intentions. I do think it showed her ignorance, but she acknowledged that, she removed the video, and she took accountability. I don't think that it means she's racist. I'd also like to say that keeping apology videos up should get some props, because a lot of big creators will post apology videos and then delete them later, leaving people to be like, okay, do you still stand on your apology? Or are you just trying to get everyone to forget about it? Then in September 2020, Gabi was criticized for a TikTok she did where the premise was her and her friend basically comparing their incomes. Basically, it was revealed that her friend spends around $100 per week, whereas Gabi spends around $9,000. I mean, you would think that it would be obvious that that's not going to be received well. So a lot of people gave her hate for it. She did apologize and said that her intention wasn't to brag, but just to highlight how income isn't a barrier to friendships. But she admits that she misjudged and the timing and the tone of it was just insensitive. She also defended her $9,000 spending on the fact that she has multiple businesses and she employs a lot of people like her friends for her YouTube channels. But I did find her friend's video where she says that she wasn't personally offended by Gabi or the video that she made, and people responded to her saying that whether or not she was offended was not the point. It was the fact that Gabi couldn't read the room and was talking about her large spending during a global pandemic. And if things couldn't get worse, it does. That December 2020, Gabi made a video of herself at age 3 available for sale on OF. She was accused of misleading fans about the contents of the video since the caption was "won't put my panties on," and it ended up being a video of herself when she was 3 years old, lifting up her dress and just being nude underneath. Just to be clear, I have never seen this video. This story was extremely disturbing to me. I'm just recapping what I read about the story online. So the way that it appeared on the platform would have no indication that it was going to be a video with a child. Her account was then banned from the platform for making that post since it was textbook definition CP. She initially tried to downplay it, saying that drama channels were just trying to make something out of a childhood video and oh, they're all reaching, it's hilarious, and said that her OF was not a sexual page. Again, I never saw her OF personally, but apparently online people were saying her previous posts were sexual in nature. Later on, after more backlash, she did apologize for it, saying that she never thought something she thought was so innocent could be seen in such an ugly way, and that's where the problem lies. She calls herself detached from reality. She thought the caption was funny, but it's not. She does end up deleting her apology from her channel, but it's still online from people who re-uploaded it. She also tweeted this apology that it was a goofy throwback family moment that just came out wrong. Gabi does speak on this big cancellation in later years, which we'll get to when we cover their Opposite Twins podcast. Niki also responded to this on Instagram, but the post has since been deleted. But apparently she said that Gabi made a mistake and she owned up to it and is facing the consequences. She understands why people are hurt and angry, and she's hurting too, and that they won't be posting on the Niki and Gabi channel while their family deals with this crisis. So the Niki and Gabi channel goes silent, but they do come back after a few months in March 2021. They were still posting on their individual channels during the pause pretty regularly, so they weren't completely completely MIA or anything. In their comeback video on the channel, they talk about feeling more and more at ease and at peace with themselves after the break. They say that they took the break because of burnout and that the break helped their relationship with each other and they're coming back stronger. They say they're done being super competitive with one another, which is kind of funny because they do end up getting back to their usual content and still doing the sister-sister stuff. One update at this point is that Gabi is engaged, which doesn't end up working out. We'll cover their relationships later in this video, but they also give some other updates like that they downsized their team. A couple months after is when their Snapchat reality TV show airs that we talked about earlier in this video. They actually posted a reaction to it since the time it was filmed was during 2020 and they wanted to like reflect. Gabi says that during filming she was going through a down spiral of her mental health, and Niki said at the time she was kind of only doing their shared channel to fund her music career. This was a question constantly brought up because in the show Niki was talking a lot about her music career, like a lot. And they explained that at the time Niki and Gabi didn't really have a relationship together outside of the work on the channel. So the channel comes back, but even though they said things were a lot better now and things were okay, it was not perfect by any means. In 2022, they did an Opposite Twins Answer 20 Juicy Questions Over Dinner video where they talk about their relationship in its current state. Gabi says that it's actually not bad when they're together at home, but then when they're apart and traveling and trying to work together, the communication is just so hard. I mean, no one wants to give up their personal projects if they don't have to, which makes sense to me. It must be really hard to keep working together when you're not even living in the same state, and you're obviously going to prioritize your own projects. So near the end of 2022, we get the Opposite Twins podcast, which they teamed up with a production company to do. It was supposed to be an easier thing for them to get together and do because they could just yap together, but their podcast does come to an end after just a few months, and Niki has said it was because it didn't feel like their own. But from the episodes that did come out, we do get a lot of insight on their thoughts on things regarding their old drama and relationships. For one thing, Gabi addressed her cancellation and how it helped change her. She says at the time there was a lot going on and she wasn't in a good place and was not surrounded by good people. It was a wake-up call to her in more ways than one that made her realize that she wasn't a good person. And she said that after everything, she realized that she wants to be less materialistic. She grew a lot and became a human again. Niki agreed that at that time, Gabi wasn't surrounded by people who would hold her accountable, just a lot of yes men that enabled her and wanted her to be happy all of the time. Some people in the comments said that it sounded like Gabi was kind of just not taking accountability for her actions and was just putting the blame on other people. I think both things can be true. She could be shitty and own up to the wrongs she did and have been surrounded by not the best people. But it definitely doesn't help that she deleted her apology video. I mean, I get that she probably feels ashamed that this is even a thing that happened and she's trying to get away from it, but people still re-uploaded it online, so it's still able to be seen. This is her digital footprint. She can't hide from it, so I do think it would be better for her to just keep it up if she really wanted to show accountability, but that's just my opinion. In the podcast, she says that she's a better person now and it's made her want to change herself and her social media to reflect positivity, inspiration, and light, and share where she's at with her mental health and speak on things that she would never talk about before. The podcast really had a mixed reception. Some people really enjoyed the openness and the honesty coming from them and them showing their growth and their perspectives, and other people felt like it was giving pity party where they just sat and complained about stuff. The rest of 2023, they posted similar content to what they've been known for, like the gift exchanges, swapping challenges, pranks, sister versus sister, etc. In terms of relationships, here's what I've gathered from what they've shared with the public. Gabi used to have a very toxic ex that we don't know too much about. He cheated on her a lot in high school and it was apparently very, very toxic, but apparently she would never really let other people see that or know how bad things were. She would always put up a front like it was all good. Then she had a very public relationship with Colin that started around 2015. He was in so many of the boyfriend swapping videos on the main channel, and they had gotten engaged in November 2020. They do end up breaking up and announcing it publicly in 2022. They said there was no drama, they both spoke well on each other, and they were just not together anymore. Again, you guys, I wasn't sure if I was gonna mention this, but for the sake of completeness, yes, there were a ton of rumors that Gabi cheated on Colin with her now partner Johnny. I'm not gonna get into the exact reasons why with all of the timelines, but basically people noticed that she was getting a lot closer to Johnny and there was some overlap before the breakup was announced. Colin's original statement on the breakup said that there was no cheating. Gabi said that she didn't cheat, but people are almost certain that there definitely was at least emotional cheating involved. He also released a song called Heaven that lyrics relationships are literally about cheating, I feel like that's kind of messed up to do slash just irresponsible to do, knowing that people are gonna think that there definitely was cheating after that. It's definitely questionable behavior because at worst, she cheated and then wrote a song glorifying it, and then at best, she didn't cheat, but then she's using the narrative that she cheated as clickbait. It's just not looking too good. Gabi is now dating a guy named Johnny. He's an actor and business owner, and even though she keeps their relationship a lot more private than she did with her prior relationship, this relationship has still faced some online scrutiny. Basically, a lot of people online were saying this man is gay, how does this even make sense? I do think it's kind of weird how comfortable people are with commenting about someone else's sexuality, but Gabi has responded to these comments saying that they are both queer and she understands their privilege of having a straight passing relationship, but once the gay is noticed in it, people tend to cast doubt on it, and she says that most of the doubt actually comes from people who are also in the queer community. I get that there's always online discourse when it comes to people in relationships. Typically, it's the form of, oh, X person is not treating Y person right, this and that. I've participated in that kind of conversation online, but I do think that there should be some kind of line drawn when it comes to making assumptions about what someone likes sexually. It's just a little bit weird to think you can assume that about anyone and then invalidate an entire relationship. It's different to have that thought in your head or share with your friends, but then to yap about that publicly, to let that person know that you don't even know in person is like, that's just like too much. With Niki, she had dated some guy way earlier that I have no information on. We're just gonna skip him. But then she started dating Nate around 2017. He was in a lot of the swapping boyfriend videos too. They also broke up in 2022. So yeah, Niki and Gabi both ended long-term relationships in 2022. With Niki and Nate, they were actually in the process of building a house together. She even tried living in it herself for a bit after their breakup, but that didn't work out. And she has a whole video reflecting on it over a year later, saying that she was house poor, which is essentially when you're technically not poor because you have a house, but all of your money is going into that house, so you have nothing else you can spend money on. She's also talked about how the breakup was a time for self-confrontation. She felt like she was living on autopilot and just doing what was expected of her, not what felt true to her. The spark had just faded, and continuing it felt more draining than fulfilling. She officially started dating her now girlfriend Jules since 2023 and has shared her experience dating a woman versus dating men prior, saying that the main difference for her is the emotional intimacy. She's also talked about how she's dealt with hate regarding her relationship and people telling her that it's just a phase, and shares how it's been navigating her own self-discovery, knowing that it's in the public eye and all her past is already out there for people to see and make judgments of. I get all of the other controversy and drama that Niki and Gabi have gone through that we just discussed. Like, yes, they deserve to get heat and get called out for those things, but for this, I really don't understand. Relationships can be so complex. Like, yes, some creators make their relationships their content focal point, and I get why those relationships get judged and put under a microscope. But when it comes to people who are just in the public eye as their job and then they share their relationship in little snippets, it's crazy how much scrutiny that they get for just existing. Here again, and you guys, why does it feel like Niki and Gabi are just so messy? So I said earlier that Niki and Jules were officially together since 2023 because that's what I saw online, but it also said in the same article that they were seeing each other since 2021, which doesn't really make sense because that overlaps with her and Nate's dating timeline. So now you're probably seeing how all of this is super messy. So people have assumed there also was at least some emotional cheating here as well, and maybe the timeline is confusing intentionally because they have something to hide. I don't know, I'm just a messenger, but a few months ago, Niki did post a video titled "I dumped my boyfriend for my first girlfriend," and she talks about how she had to make hard life changes to explore the relationship, and it's not right to lie to people. So to me, that's kind of giving admitting to at least emotional cheating. There's also this Reddit post that I will link in the description of this video where someone pieced together why they think there was cheating for sure, but I have not confirmed the validity of everything in that post. I was not expecting this relationship section to get so messy, but there's everything I know. So what is going on with the Niki and Gabi channel now? They haven't entirely called it quits, but they are mainly focusing on their own work, and I'd say that the channel is pretty much on pause. They didn't post on it for almost the entirety of 2024, and since then they've only posted a few times sporadically. During 2024, Niki posted a few TikToks addressing why they quit the channel, saying that the pause was healthy for them. It was not a relationship breakup because they are sisters at the end of the day. They just really had to separate so that they could grow and experience life with real boundaries, which totally makes sense to me because imagine your entire career being tied to your twin sister. Researching this video, I felt exhausted with how complicated and rocky their relationship dynamic was. And their relationships not only to each other, but to their friends and their partners that they would hire for content and work with. It's just so much. Niki says that they live separately. She's in LA and Gabi's still in Pennsylvania. She's changed a lot and is growing into the person she's supposed to be, and that the money from the channel was not worth it. In their 2024 gift exchange video, they say that they were on this hamster wheel of challenge videos, but no one cares about those anymore. No one cares about skits. No one cares about covers. They were constantly just ignoring what they wanted to do and just did what they thought would do well because they needed it to do well so that they could pay everyone on their team and just keep it all running. And I know this feels like a random comparison that I'm about to make, and believe me, I never thought I would be making this kind of comparison, but it does remind me of the Niki video that we made. In both scenarios, we have YouTubers who grew to the point of needing a production crew, and then the job being heavily reliant on videos performing well, meaning you're just a slave to the algorithm. So since then, the channel has just been something they're gonna use when they want to. And they say that they've learned how to love themselves without the validation of the internet and have established boundaries of what to share and what to keep private. Honestly, this entire video content and concept should be taught in schools of what happens to people when they grow up in the public eye, working with family, their literal twin sister, running a business, and essentially are like child stars in what was at the time a brand new industry of content creation and YouTube influencers. It's just so interesting to me. I feel like it's just been the recent years where we started to talk about like Disney stars and Nickelodeon stars, but we gotta also talk about the YouTube stars. So it's 2025. What has been going on with them as individuals? Niki is a YouTuber, influencer, and music artist. Towards the end of last year and into 2025, she did a series exposing the Niki and Gabi channel. She shares things like being the villain on the reality TV show because everyone else was too scared to, having Alicia Marie send photos of palm trees so she could pretend to still be in LA when she was back in Pennsylvania, staging DIYs, filming in a house with setup bedrooms. She said that they would film their What I Got for Christmas videos ahead of time and buy things for themselves and just say that Santa got it for them so they could be the first to upload it on Christmas. Morning routines that weren't filmed in the morning. They would film their content a month ahead, so when they were celebrating holidays, it wasn't actually the time for that holiday. 4-a-week videos were filmed in a day. Black Friday hauls weren't hauls from Black Friday. They were just things that they bought and then would say it was from Black Friday. Baking challenges, just so much tea was spilled, you guys, like truly, which a lot of people were mad about because it's like, hey, you lied, and low-key it's kind of like you're ruining my childhood. I'm honestly not that hurt or upset by it because I think it makes sense in hindsight that they were essentially producing a show targeted for teenage girls. Maybe I would have been more upset if I was watching them as a teenager. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. But I'm pretty sure all of the girlies that I were watching also staged things, but it's all good. This kind of content of exposing old lies and being real led into a podcast/interview show called Get Real, where the concept is Niki revealing how things on the internet are fake. It's kind of similar to how she has an older series called The Truth About on her channel, where she sat down with YouTubers and discussed things going on behind the scenes that audiences didn't know about. She's done episodes of Get Real on her life after quitting Niki and Gabi, her thoughts on influencer lifestyles, her relationship, and more. She said it was really hard to let go of the channel because her ego made her feel like she had to stay or else she would just feel like a failure. But they really were opposite twins and they didn't get along when they were running the channel together. Ultimately, they quit because they realized that they would start resenting each other if they didn't live separate lives. Niki shared that in February 2024, she almost quit being an influencer and she stopped being honest with her audience because she didn't want to share her financial struggles and appear like a failure. At the time, she reached out to her music video director to look for a job in LA, and she actually got one related to social media and young girls. It made her feel excited, like she was picking up where her life would have been if she didn't pursue Niki and Gabi and just went to college and got a job afterwards. But while working there, she also realized that she wanted to be on camera again and be doing social media for herself. And so now she's here and feeling more at peace with her life, and she's also still doing music. Gabi is a YouTuber, influencer, music artist, business owner, and self-proclaimed cosplayer. She is still actively posting vlog-style content on her YouTube channel, and she has talked more recently about how falling off helped her as a person and from a business perspective too. She talked about how numbers really took over her life with the Niki and Gabi channel, and it led her to be super all over the place with her content in hopes to just keep chasing numbers. Relying on being relevant made her more egotistic and narcissistic and made her super narrow-minded. She said that she became very impulsive and she didn't have a consistent audience, which then hurt her ability to get deals and have a solid brand. And she's since niched down to things she truly wants to do, which is better for her mental health and personal brand. She also talked about her low during the pandemic in regards to her mental health, which again, shout out to the 20 2020 controversies. And since then, she's been diagnosed with 3 things that she's keeping private to herself. And she strongly advocates for people to go see proper doctors and get proper diagnoses and go to therapy. In her videos this year, I noticed that she's talked pretty often and openly about her mental health improvements and being on medications to treat it. She said that she wishes she was more hands-on about it earlier in her 20s, and now she's reached a good level of peace. It feels like the Niki and Gabi channel, in the way that it was being run for years, was causing immense strain on not only Niki and Gabi's relationship with one another, but also their relationships with themselves. I feel like it's no coincidence that they are both speaking about mental health more and feeling at peace after stopping the commitment to the channel. Gabi says that she still has a long way to go and isn't fully healed, but she's in a much better place. Gabi also runs an online antique shop called Hometown Vintage. She sells custom bundles and preset aesthetic bundles that bring your Pinterest to life. It's kind of giving she's a personal shopper now. She finds vintage goods and resells them in a curated box, either mystery or custom, and they include things like perfumes, furniture, decor, accessories, and clothing. She live streams on the platform called Whatnot, where she holds auctions for goods that she finds. She said in a YouTube video that she usually lists things for $1 and then people bid for them until they usually sell for around $15 to $25. Recently, she also shared that she's experiencing some health problems that she's getting checked out, but wants to keep mostly behind the scenes so people don't worry. And she does cosplays sometimes on her TikTok account of celebrities and characters like Belle from Disney, Lana Del Rey, and some Glinda/Ariana Grande cosplay. So after doing all of this research into Niki and Gabi, it truly was so interesting to see their evolution online. I know that they have haters for the way that they've come off over the years, but I don't think in 2025 they deserve to get more hate. If you're a subscriber of this channel, you know that these videos are not meant to be fuel to send hate to creators. I feel like it just highlights that yes, influencers/YouTubers are incredibly flawed. Since they're just human, people change and grow. I feel like in the more recent years, we've seen Niki and Gabi both acknowledge their behavior and mindsets in the past that were not good, and they've spoken up a lot more about mental health and seeking professional help. They're not perfect, but no one is. And they've shared only bits and pieces of the hardships in their lives that I didn't even decide to include here because I feel like we don't need to get into all of that. But everyone has their trauma. You don't have to like them, you don't have to support them, but they, just like all other online creators, are people navigating their own issues and living their lives. It just so happens to be in the public eye, subject to online criticism and commentary. And with all of that, thank you for making it to the end of this video. Remember, you guys can click the link in my description or scan the QR code to download FaceApp and try the pro version for 1 week free. Thank you again to FaceApp for sponsoring. Please like and subscribe to support the channel, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!